Austin 316 says I just whipped your...
With a nasty temperament. Ice, well, his watch is...
Damn!
What's up, everybody? We got Wrestling Talk, Beckerman, Papa Wheelie, and Biggie Shaq.
It's only a matter of time. I could cut the electricity in the air, man. We're talking wrestling, comic book, YouTube, championship, or Beckerman, Papa Willie. Real wrestling talk for real wrestling fans. If you're really wrestling people, dude.
So, everybody, we're just doing a tester, seeing how this will work out. Papa Wheelie's been bugging me to do a wrestling show with him. Just kidding, Pop. No, I've wanted to do a wrestling talk show with the YouTube comic book community just because a lot of us end up liking wrestling. I think it makes sense. If you like comic books, there's like an easy... I mean, what is pro wrestling? It's real life superheroes, good and evil, fighting it out.
Yeah, I don't think
already
people
got the anti-AEW talk, which I am on that train. I'm on my way over to WWE. AEW has let me down.
It's kind of sad.
Pop says should have brought out my belt next week. Yeah, I've got this television NWA.
Yeah,
title.
Blow Beckerman up so we could see this real Arn Anderson prize.
Yeah, I won this at a local wrestling show. Arn Anderson was there. It was a door prize that you got that you got a ticket to if you were a VIP for his talk beforehand. He signed it for free. And yeah, it was pretty cool. He took a picture with me with it, and he said he told me it was one of the good ones. So. And it's got the little plates for the different television networks, CBS. We got ABC and NBC on here, too.
That's super cool,
this
man.
is my only belt. Like my only nice replica belt. But it's I won it, so it was pretty cool.
Papa Willie has multiple wrestling belts. I have one Toys R Us accurate size belt, but it's in a box and it's all taped up. I don't want to mess
McGregor. Personally, I'd wait to drop the
Pop
these.
belt. He asked me to leave it to him in my will, and I was about to. But I'm afraid he'll have me killed. You wouldn't do that to me, would you, Pop? You absolutely would. No.
It's pretty cool. So, I feel like people see my whole dream world of comic book wrestling personalities would be like if me and Beckerman got into a shoot battle and we would just
I would die.
talk shit to each other to we battle to death and something, you know, like people don't want to do that shit though. They just want to play around and comic book wrestling.
So I guess here's my thing with pro wrestling. What drew you to pro wrestling, Biggie Shaq? What we all know you're a Hogan fan, but like what's the idea of pro wrestling to you?
I don't know why. It was just one day, bro. Me, my boy Madness and 90 MF Comics was in a chat, just like all of us would be, you know, or we just all go to chat for companionship and friendship. And they sent me some AOK, so I want to send them an AOK. And I thought I have like 10 of these toy belts. So I sent them a belt and I sent them comics. And we decided we were the NWO clique. It just came out of the blue. You know, me and my boy Madness, he was doing some Dusty, you know, a poor man, a plumber. He was doing some of that stuff.
Son of a plumber, baby.
Yeah, my boy's so slick. My boy Madness, he's a hell of a personality. And I just was like, I can do Hogan. I love Hogan. And I've always been doing NWO and Hogan for years and years. So it's just, I loved when Hogan would beat the shit out of somebody, honestly. Like when Hogan beat Ric Flair up and there was helicopters and limousines, it was some of the best entertainment I ever got to see.
I guess for me, like the very idea that when I was a kid, It was the idea that the smaller guy could sometimes conquer. I came in late because my mom chased me off of it. I tried watching in the mid 80s, you know, into the late 80s, and I was a little young, and my mom didn't like me watching it. You know, that stuff's too violent. All the misconceptions our our mothers had for wrestling. So by probably 91, I was getting a little more freedom in what I could watch. And I loved HBK. I liked Shawn Michaels. He was the smaller guy that was getting picked on by guys like Vader and Yokozuna. These bullies, these guys that, teamed up on him, jumped him from behind, did bad things to him. But, sometimes he'd get his shots in. And like, I was a comic book nerd, a Dungeons and Dragons nerd. I got beat up like really hard in junior high, especially. And part of me just was gravitated to that idea that the little guy could super kick his way out of his problem,
Yeah, that's true. I remember as a child, brother, when I was in kindergarten and preschool, and I was in the urban school, man. I was one of the only white few kids there, brother. So we got in fights, man. I'm talking fisticuffs, dude. And I used to really believe in my heart of Biggie Shaq hearts that if you got me mad enough, dude, there is no stopping the ass whooping you're going to get. So I used to hulk up like Hulk Hogan, dude. You could trust and believe that. And there for a long time, your boy thought he was invincible. But one day, I met a fourth grader picking on my friends. And I gave him the old Biggie Shaq, and he kicked me in the ass so hard, I thought I broke my asshole. So I learned that day.
You got Nia Jaxed?
But I was pretty good against the rest of the kindergartners.
Pop, what drew you to wrestling? What? He's typing while we're doing that. If anybody wants to put it in the chat too and say what, like a certain wrestler that drew you to it, just the idea of it. I once heard an interview where somebody asked Jim Cornette, describe pro wrestling in under 2 minutes. And he said, if you were driving down the road and you saw two guys just punching the hell out of each other, you would slow down, wouldn't you? And if one of the guys, you knew him and you knew he was a jerk, a dick, and the other guy was like a stand-up dude, a good guy that, didn't cross people the wrong way. And that guy was maybe even a little smaller than the jerk. And he started getting some shots in on him and started going, you might even pay money to watch that fight. And that's...
I remember that interview.
Yeah, superheroes in real life. I completely agree, Pop. When I would see what tape I got. So the first pay-per-view I ever watched live was at a cousin's house. I got to see Macho Man versus Ultimate Warrior.
Ooh.
Later on, I started getting the tapes. You could get the tapes of the at Blockbuster of different pay-per-views. And the first match where it really tied into superheroes for me was the ladder match between Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon.
Oh, yeah.
I fell in love at that point.
That's the ladder match. So I was spoiled from about 12 to 20, because my stepdad was actually the guy that brought in the digital internet cable in the late 90s to my town. So he was one of the guys that installed the shit. So we got all the pay-per-views. I got every fucking one. They were great.
Katie says the showmanship and the violence, real James Whaley. My uncle was coach of Team Canada's Olympic wrestling team. Holy crap. He trained me from 6-16. He trained John Tenta. 6 to 16. He trained John Tenta, aka Earthquake. Damn.
That's really cool. Bret Hart said that's the strongest Canadian he ever knew or fought was John Tenta.
That makes sense. Glenn says, I love Bret Hart, Hogan, Ultimate Warrior. Yeah, you can tell we're all in the same age group because those are all. And then later on, Stone Cold, Rock, others. By that point, I remember I was kind of a Rock hater. Like when he really got to be the, if you smell LLL, I was really into ECW by that point. My first pay-per-view I ever attended in person was Anarchy Rules, the last one, before Paul folded up. They had one more pay-per-view after that, but they folded up ECW, and I was at that up in Minneapolis, and we were like in the third or fourth row. And when Chili Willy was fighting Balls Mahoney, they came out in the crowd and they went right by us. And I've watched it on the network. You can see me slapping Chili Willy's back.
Damn, that's sick, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, if y'all don't know, Beckerman actually goes to local wrestling events with Circumstances. So he actually gets to hang out with community members and watch wrestling, which I think is very rad.
And that's the thing, Circumstances was never into wrestling. I told him, hey, I want to go to some local wrestling. Like, will you go with me? Kind of thing. Because I don't know a lot of people here. My wife and I moved here from Iowa, and I know a few people, but I don't have like a lot of friends here. So Circumstances really is kind of one of my go-to. Him and a couple other people are my go-tos to invite places. And he did it. He's like, you know what? I'll check it out. And he loves it. Loves it.
Yeah, I bet he does. It's fucking cool, man. Wrestling, he was telling me you get some of these guys that are even on TV to show up. That's people don't know. You get like celebrities swing through these circuits.
Yeah, we had Ace Steel, who is kind of notorious right now for being the guy in the CM Punk brawl. He's Punk's friend. When they got in that fight in AEW, he's the one
that's his main man. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. So Beckerman said we should talk about all the wrestlers we've lost this year. I thought
that is something I brought up. Yeah. We lost some big names this year, Biggie. Which one stuck out to you? We talked about a few of them before. Who do you think was maybe the biggest name we lost this year?
Before Beckerman said the most obvious one when we was talking about it, I instantly, dude, I was a pretty big New Jack fan, bro. Like New Jack.
Yeah.
He was fun in ECW, dude. When you heard that.
Garbage human, but yes.
He's not a very good human being. But you can't deny when you heard that song pop on in ECW, you knew he was going to get thoroughly entertained for the next 5 or 10 minutes, in my opinion.
Everybody say hello to Comic Journey. And
there's a Greek wrestler. Who's the Greek wrestler that went damn near undefeated? He lost I don't know if he ever lost a match. Spires. Tell us, Journey. That was an interesting ass thing. He used to tag with Bruno Sammartino.
Jim Landis? No.
I think his name's Spires or something like that. Anyways, I said New Jack, but the most obvious is Terry Funk to answer your question.
Terry Funk's a big one. Jerry Jarrett was another guy that was, became a wrestling booker in the late 60s, ended up getting a piece of the territory, then owning all of his territory of Memphis wrestling, launched a lot of careers, trained a lot of people. His mother was a wrestling promoter. One thing, Spiros Arion. Okay.
Yeah, the guy never lost. He wrestled big matches. Like, he's surprisingly one of the greatest wrestlers.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of like all of Jerry Jarrett's accomplishments. And then obviously he was a partner in TNA at the end of his life. But yeah, dude was a big deal in wrestling for a long time. I was going to talk about Teeny Jarrett real quick. Jerry's mother. Something I don't appreciate is like the timeline of The Rock's TV show is a little skewed. They really want to make his grandmother the first female wrestling promoter. It was Teeny Jarrett, folks.
Boom.
Teeny goes back farther. Spiro represented the Greek community. Well, he had a better record than Bruno Sammartino. I don't know that much about I've heard the name, don't know much about him.
It's an interesting character, a little bit below the under the radar, so it's totally understand. I didn't know that much about him either, Beckerman, but Journey is Greek, so I could imagine he might have known something. But I recently learned about the guy myself.
Journey is Greek. I've met him. I met Journey this summer. What was I going to say? Oh, Superstar Billy Graham was another big name. We lost this year.
Superstar Bray Wyatt. There was another big one. Oh, dude, this wasn't the year Scott Hall went, was it?
Did we lose Scott Hall in 2022 or 2020?
Yeah, it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2022.
Damn,
Kevin Nash.
That was worse.
I felt so bad for his friends and family.
I don't know how Nash is gonna make it without Scott, dude. It's gonna be rough.
And he lost his son too.
Yeah, man.
Not something you wish on anybody. Nash's podcast is getting really popular. I've watched some of it. I don't watch a ton of it.
He does it with another wrestler guy, don't it? Or personality.
And yeah, personally, like an interviewer guy, a guy that did a lot of interviews.
Okay. Yeah, I've watched a few of his episodes. They're pretty good. The other good one is the one with Eric Bischoff. The what is it? 900 Days or something.
Oh yeah, Bischoff.
Yeah.
I can't bring myself to watch Bischoff.
You can't watch Bischoff. Well, they talk about like day to day.
For the same reason I can't bring myself to watch. The most I've watched of Russo's podcast was what Pop sent me, and that was hard enough to get through. Oh God, I hate Russo so much. I'm a Jim Cornette guy, if you haven't guessed.
How good was Terry Funk?
How good was Terry Funk? Let's see. The guy reinvented himself every decade. You know, Chainsaw Charlie, you know, he was the Texas redneck, you know, the strap match guy, the Texas death match guy, ECW guy. Like he wasn't a WWF champion, but he was a world champion. Right.
And he feels like
back
a world
in the territory days, tagging
his
with
brother was
Dory.
champ before him. Right?
Yeah, didn't they? I think they put the NWA strap on Dory, right?
Dory had it first, then Terry got it. I think that's the way it went.
I don't know if Terry ever got the NWA strap.
No, Terry got it. Terry got a world championship. Pretty sure NWA got one.
Okay. I'm not saying that's not like I'm not a guy that can tell you all of the. I'm not a guy that can tell you like the history of.
I can't remember who he got it from. Might have been Flair. But Terry was also, I believe, in New Japan or somebody shit.
Say Ric Flair.
And Hogan went out there, and Hogan was afraid that Terry was going to kill him because he disrespected New Japan or something. I don't know what he did, but he was scared of Terry. So I felt like if Hogan scared of
Terry,
yeah,
like if
Terry's
you look at how
dude,
that guy was built in, say, the movie Roadhouse,
yeah,
like Terry was a big boy.
So that's all I'm saying. Like Hogan was scared of Terry. Like I ain't saying Hogan's tough or nothing, but like Hogan never say he was scared of a lot of people. He was scared of Andre, Terry Funk, maybe Sheik. I don't know.
Yeah, only because like if Sheik got rough with him, what would he really do about it, wrestling wise? If Sheik wanted to shoot on him, I don't know if Hogan's size would be enough to keep him off of him.
No, it probably wouldn't, because
you know, like at least with a guy like Terry Funk, you know, a roughhouse guy, Hogan would have his size to protect him. You know what I mean? Size means a lot in a fight. But I don't think it would mean anything to the Iron Sheik in his prime. I think he would take Hogan apart at the joints.
Yeah, he would have. He would have destroyed him. Absolutely. He was the ambassador security. He was like
Yeah,
FBI.
yeah, the
He
Shah of
was
Iran.
yeah, Iran. I don't know if he was. I think actually, after people researched it, he wasn't really an Olympic gold medalist, but he did get
No,
like
he was an AAU gold medalist.
right, right. He always wanted to be like, oh, I'm just like Kurt Angle. No, no, you
Mm,
wasn't.
not so much, buddy.
Not so much.
The drugs took their toll. All right, here we go. NWA title. Looking for championships and accomplishments.
Yeah, let's do some. We can't get
He
through
was
a
the
wrestling
NWA
thing.
Florida heavyweight champ, ECW heavyweight twice, tag team NWA.
Few times probably.
Yeah, never
He's a
held the
beast.
world.
Oh, he never held the world.
No, he was NWA WCW United States Heavyweight Championship twice.
Just the heavyweight. Wow.
Yeah. NWA Heavyweight Hall of Fame. Oh wait, I was wrong. NWA World Heavyweight Champion one time.
I knew it.
You were right.
I'm usually right, man. Yeah,
I
he beat
had
somebody
to look
good
it up.
too.
I had to look it up.
Can you find out who he beat? Because it's pretty impressive who he beat. The way I remember it.
I'm looking it up now.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a cool match. It meant a lot. Terry was a bit of a younger kind of world champ, but he deserved it, man. He got to a good technical position. He could actually wrestle, and he was just as good as Dory. People said Dory was better. People enjoyed Dory a lot back then, bro. But Terry earned it too.
Wow. NWA.
Was it Pat Patterson? It was
what a weird
I
history.
bet you it was I bet you it was fucking Harley, bro. Maybe. I'm guessing. It was somebody like a Harley is the way I remember it. But but we lost Bushwhacker, Butch. Those guys were smarter than what people think. Those guys worked a gimmick.
Yeah, Luke and Butch. Butch was always the angry, the grumpy looking one.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, you can't judge the Bushwhackers by like their WWF run, because that's when they were like, more kid friendly towards the end of their career, trying to make some money on their way out, there to sell merch, be there for the kids. But back in the day, the sheep herders could throw down.
Oh yeah. I'm looking up his opponent now.
Yeah, I'm not finding it. I don't like the site I'm on right now with the history of it. It's making me read too much.
I think it was Jack Briscoe.
Was it?
Yeah.
What year was it?
I don't know the year.
I'm just going to Google it.
I got you. 75.
Okay.
But saying heavyweight, it ain't saying world, but that's the one I think was the world too. It was the first gold belt championship, so it was the golden belt.
Hey, we said his name and Circumstances shows up. The sheep. We're scary.
I need to get Circumstances on Collectors Club.
Herders. Circumstances is cool. Don't let him know I ever said that, but he is my pro wrestling buddy. The guy I hijacked him, I shanghaied him, I made him go to wrestling, and now he loves it.
Yeah, we brought that up, man. Sometimes they get like sweat and spit and blood on them, but Beckerman's a good sport, and so is Circumstances. They enjoy seeing.
No, I bitched out that night. I ran away. I was like, I got blood on my lip. No, I was saying good things about you, Circumstances. Premier up. Yeah, that's his tag team. He likes the Premier.
All right, well,
they're heels.
We talked about the deaths. I don't know if I've ever asked Beckerman who his favorite wrestler is.
I
don't know Pops either.
Over the years. Like, it kind of depends on the era.
I mean, ever. Is it CM Punk?
No.
Okay. I don't know why I thought that.
The most I ever cared about a wrestler, Raven is up there for me, RVD is up there, Shawn Michaels, and Bret Hart. I wasn't as big of an Austin fan. I wasn't as big of a Rock fan.
Oh, that's cool. He's a Hulk fan.
Yeah, I loved Hulk as a kid. I loved Ultimate Warrior. I was a Mark kid. Who didn't love Ultimate Warrior when they were a kid? Like,
you just went with the flow and had fun. Yeah, people criticize Ultimate Warrior so much. His interview skills are in the 80 percentiles for me because you actually was enthralled with what he was saying. It may not make sense, but it was cool. It reminded me of a Macho Man style, Hulk Hogan style. Like he had the energy. May not make much sense, but you followed it and it was fun. So it was better than Bret Hart.
Rhino was another big one I was a fan of.
Bret was amazing. His interview skills were trash, though. At least HBK was like a little entertaining. I didn't like his I'm fucking having sex with everything gimmick. Like
I love Jericho in WCW. I hate him now.
Sting is fun. Sting is a fun guy.
Sting was good. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, how cool were they?
They were NWO. Oh man, yeah. Scott Hall and Kevin Nash are in my top 5.
Hogan in the NWO, loved the core NWO. Like once they started making everybody and their brother a member, I wasn't as into it. But
yeah,
when it was like an elite, wasn't there just something about seeing Nash and Hall walk down a hallway that you're like, that's just two really cool dudes.
It really was fun. You know they were having the most fun out of everybody there, bro. You really did.
They made you feel like you were cool just by association of the shirt. Like, I'm taking a little survey. Like, yo.
Yeah. His promo skills were better than Nash's. Nash used to say some wild stuff, too. Like, he'd give you movie quotes.
The muscle,
he was like a philosopher. He was like a giant scientist, he thought. But he...
I'd have to say, if I was gun to my head, greatest of all time to me is Terry Funk.
Damn.
Only because of how much he was able to reinvent himself and stay relevant. And not just reinvent himself, Biggie, but stay on top of the card while reinventing himself in each decade. Over 5 decades. Like, he had 5 decades he was relevant in wrestling.
That's true, man.
How do you get that level of longevity?
Well, I mean, Sting's
and he was still like a working class guy.
I felt like Hogan had very high level matches for more than most people, and people don't acknowledge that enough. Like Terry Funk went for decades, but Hogan was in the spotlight a lot of the time and got a lot of matches in, probably more than Terry. But he stayed longer, and when Hogan went out, like Terry was always there. So I can't hate on Terry.
Mick Foley's circumstances just said Mick Foley. There's another guy I really respect. It's crazy. Like, he's known as this, extreme hardcore wrestler, but he made me fall so much in love with him. I remember when I was at WrestleMania 22, the only WrestleMania I've ever been to. It was in Chicago. And Foley went through the flaming table with Edge. I was there. I was legitimately concerned for Mick. I was like waving, like, don't do this. You don't need to. You don't have anything to prove.
Yeah, that sounds dope.
He just made me care.
Probably burnt the hell out of him. Mankind and Cactus Jack were some of the best matches. With the Hell in a Cell is probably #1 match. And that one or Hogan Andre is
nerdy.
The go-to match would be
another. People. Glenn just said a good one. Jim Duggan.
Jim Duggan's good. My top 5 is Scott Hall, Nash, Undertaker, Hogan, and Yokozuna.
Yoke, huh? That's
Big
interesting.
Yoke, the true Samoan leader, Yoko.
And that guy could move for a big man.
He was the most agile, and the more I learn about him, the more amazed I am. People said that bump wasn't that bad. It looked like the most extreme smash you could get, but people have said
Corny
that it wasn't
talks
that
about that bump because Corny
Yeah.
took it a few times. He said taking it earlier was good, but like he was also one that took it later in the independents, and Yoke kind of hurt him on it. Once Yoke's weight got too much, he couldn't control it. And Corny said he felt bad because like Yoke knew he hurt him. And when they got in the back, like he was so apologetic, and he was like, "It's fine, Yoke, it's fine." Like he had to give him the signal where he had to pinch his thigh, to let him know, like, you just completely knocked the wind out of me.
I don't know how he didn't kill a few people. Like some of the bumps he gave people were some of the most. I have one of the clips on my channel. Like it's extreme. It looks like your sternum gets pancaked, basically. One of my favorite moves, the Yoko bomb. I mean, how can you beat that?
Jimmy Hart, K-pop, you are cool for bringing up Jimmy Hart. That guy wrote a lot of people's entrance music too.
Yeah.
Because he was a musician from back in the 60s.
I think he's the King's cousin or some shit. The King Lawler too. I did meet the
they're
King.
related.
They're not related? Somebody's related to one of them. I don't know which one, but there's some relation out there. Yes, there's some weird shit going on. Is it the Honky Tonk Man was related to one of them? I don't know. There's something.
Yeah, one of Hart's most notable compositions is Shawn Michaels' entrance theme, "Sexy Boy," in the late 80s. Jimmy Hart wrote that, which is funny because that is like an icon, like, I think I'm cute. I know I'm sexy. Yeah, oh boy, that takes you back, doesn't it?
What's the best Shawn Michaels saga?
I mean, for all of the doses of reality it has to be him versus Bret Hart because you knew they didn't like each other.
They had an Iron Man match, I believe.
Yep.
They had multiple world championship matches and intercontinental.
Shawn versus Diesel was good. Shawn should have been the one. Ric Flair should have quit after Shawn super kicked him. That would have been a good note to leave on. Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, beautiful moment.
I'm not a big Shawn Michaels fan. I can't think of what would be my favorite. I vaguely remember.
Not the ladder match with Razor? The first ladder match?
Oh, no, I know Razor was a good one with them.
Razor was just Scott Hall, so good.
Scott Hall's my top 5, man. He's one of the best. Yeah.
Hogan, Diesel, I'm just going through your top 5. You named a lot of guys that were just stars in the ring. But the thing with Scott Hall was he made everybody else look like a star. Like, he made his opponents look awesome.
He was the best big, medium-sized guy in wrestling. He was strong. He was fit. He had the wind. He could do moves. I mean, at first he was a bit of a klutz when he worked with Kurt Hennig in NWA. And he learned the ropes. Kurt Hennig taught him everything. And he ended up being a hell of a good big guy wrestler. I mean, he's Puerto Rican. He's a bad boy, bro. Like, he put on some of Shawn Michaels' greatest shit ever came from Scott Hall. Straight up. So
to answer Pop's question, the OG song. And then just to wrap up, the underrated ability to make your opponent look good, a prime Chris Jericho could do that. Like, Chris Jericho in his prime really made his opponents look great. The selling, it looked like when he got hit by stuff, it looked like it killed him. You know, Sean was good at that. Just guys that were really good at selling. Like you actually thought they might be hurt. That's an underrated talent, man.
He could sell like a mug. So could Bret Hart. Bret Hart could sell really well. Hogan, I think, is an underrated seller. He's one of the greatest sellers. And people actually wanted to jump the barriers and help Hulk Hogan when he was.
Yeah, I'll give
selling.
you that. The people loved him. Yeah, Journey. And that was kind of what his feud with Goldberg in the back when he schoolboyed Goldberg. I think that's what it was over. Was that Goldberg didn't want to work with him because he was like, oh, it's unrealistic. You know, you'll make me look bad. And Jericho got so offended because he's like, listen, buddy, I'll either make you look like $1 million or like absolute crap, and you'll never know the difference.
That's real, man. Goldberg,
that is some real shit to say to somebody.
Yeah, I mean, that makes you think of the William Regal match with Bill Goldberg where he just schoolyarded him, dude, the whole match.
Yeah, beat the guitar out of him.
He did some old school Britain stuff. I think one of the greatest technical matches, I want to shoot this out there, I think I've ever seen. It was just a house show, British Bulldog versus William Regal, and they were doing all that European shit, bro. It was freaking amazing. Freaking amazing. Like, if you could catch that on YouTube, I highly suggest it.
Strange Dog comic stuff says CM Punk is best in the world. What would be your favorite CM Punk match?
The best CM Punk match? Some of the times he beat Cena was pretty fun.
For me, it's the Ring of Honor Samoa Joe matches. The two Samoa Joe.
Oh, that's cool.
In ROH. The original, the real ROH.
CM Punk's kind of a... He never felt believable to me. Like I loved his promos and I loved the way he talked, and he did make you want to side with the guy, but his actual like in-ring capability just didn't fucking work for me. He looked like a IHOP chef or some shit to me.
Who is this?
CM Punk.
CM Punk? Yeah. He does look like a regular dude.
Very much so. Like a guy that
kind of his gimmick.
Like me or Beckerman outweigh the guy and probably have we might be about the same height. I don't know. We got at least 60 pounds on him though.
With Punk, it was always like, for me at least, it's the mic skills.
Yeah.
It's the charisma, the looks, you know, the bewildered looks in the ring. Like when he's a heel, his ability to work heel or face seamlessly as part of his personality is really good.
Yeah. I can't get over, like, I love the guy because he's a natural dude. Like, okay, so he wrote some stories for Marvel. First of all, we should give him a little credit for that. I don't know many wrestlers.
He did a Thor story, and he did a Drax the Destroyer limited series, like 12-issue limited series.
He did a Master Kung Fu one too.
Yep.
Yep.
I really liked that Drax series because he brought back, do you remember the 80s kids Marvel book, Planet Terry?
No.
He brought the character Planet Terry and aged him up as like basically made him like a washed up child star and made him into like a bounty hunter making ends meet.
Yeah. I didn't know that. That's dope. The issue I read with, I know he did good with Drax. I think he did probably his best, but
that was his longest run because that went 12 issues.
Right. So that's cool. He did some Marvel work. And then the other thing that just baffles me though is like he went to the UFC and thought he had a chance.
And he didn't do good.
He did very bad, but the whole idea of him thinking Like, this is what I want to do. Like, obviously, he just wanted to cover himself up and get through it and not get embarrassed too much. But like, for anybody to think like he had a chance, it dumbfounds me that people bought that shit.
Yeah, he didn't have the training, skills, or physique for it. Yeah, I saw it. It was good, Tyler. You should check it out.
The guy's a natural bonehead. Like, he says shit you shouldn't say in public. He does things that are fucking wild. He don't do drugs, which is cool. He's straight edge. But there's something lovable about the guy for me.
I had great interactions with him. I have that picture with him in my Cubs jersey. That was the year before the Cubs won the World Series. We talked about how the Cubs looked. Yeah, it was. I met Punk, and the last time I met Punk was in the spring of 2016. He was just cool. Like, he had just finished a signing. He was still at his booth at C2E2, and I went up with my Drax #1 to get signed.
Damn.
And he was like, "Hey, what's up, boss?" I was like, "You still signing?" He's like, "Hell yeah, man. Come on up." Paid him money for his autograph, had him sign his Drax #1, and then I went over and ended up heading to his photo op like maybe 20 minutes later. And he's like, "Boss, you're back, like my Cubs guy." And he's like, "How do you want to do this?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Photo, what do you want to do?" He's like, we can do whatever you want." He's like, you can give me a piggyback ride. I was like, "I don't know if I can." So we just did one of these where we're both like,
damn. I kind of took a picture behind him and was like, I got him in the background once when I see him in C2E2. But and I mean, I'm disrespecting him a little bit, but to be honest, like, I always thought AJ Lee was a phenomenal women's wrestler. Like, she could have been the one, dude. Like, at one point, she was getting over like Rover, brother. And for WWE not to take advantage of them getting married is blasphemous.
Well, they took advantage of it. They served him his walking papers on his wedding day.
Are they out of their minds? Like, they could have cashed in on that big time, bro. It's disrespectful. It's crazy what they did. But shout outs to Punk for, I think they were jealous. They all wanted some of that Lee action, dude.
I never read her book, but I have a copy of it signed. She was at a con I was at when the book first came out, and I bought it and had her sign it, but I never read it. She's looking fit these days, man. She's probably in better shape than her husband.
Yeah. I heard she got muscular. She probably looked better back in the day, but still, like, I'm glad.
Hey, he didn't do well in UFC, but he knocked out one of the Jackson brothers, and he front face locked Jack Perry's kid, or Luke Perry's kid. Luke Perry's kid got front face locked by him.
That's just probably because they were letting him do it, but
no. This is real. This is what he got fired for in AEW.
Yeah. So do you really think those guys fought back? They probably just took it.
Yes. Yeah. There is video. Jack Perry did not go willingly into that guillotine choke, which, I mean, they call it a guillotine now in MMA, but for 40 years ago, they called that a front face lock.
Okay. I haven't watched the footage, but I don't know, man. I feel like that was a position where you're at work and CM Punk is out of his mind. There's that bonehead in him, and those other guys might not have been feeling. But you should protect yourself. You would think a wrestler would protect himself. And while I'm talking about that, do you remember Dave Schultz? Is that his name? The Kentuckian wife beater. That guy was amazing, bro. Like, him and Hogan were boys when Hogan was coming up, and he just never got the push like him. But he was an ignorant, angry, bitter man. It was beautiful.
So the AEW Brawl for All, that's the first incident of CM Punk fighting in AEW in the locker room. It was after a show. Punk was tired of the antics of the Elite, And in his media scrum, he called them all out. And he said, and I will still walk these halls and say, if you got a problem with me, bring it to me. He then goes to his locker room, or to his dressing room, take his shower and everything, get like ready to leave. And the guys he just called out all walked in together and is uninvited into his dressing room. Now, that is all, we can prove that. That happened. Everybody agrees. After that, the Elite's version of it is he attacked them. He just became unhinged. Now, here's the thing, Biggie. If I say, Biggie Shaq, I hate you so much, I'm going to come into your house. I'm uninvited. Just walk in, and it's a fight on site, man. If I come into your house, are you going to wait to see if I'm actually going to swing on you, or is it self-defense time?
It's self-defense time. It's they're already in foreign territory.
Door to that dressing room, you're saying I want to fight.
Right. I can understand that.
And for years, are you telling me the boys back in the day, in the 80s, that stuff happened and nobody talked about it on the mic? Nobody did a podcast about it. You don't think Randy Savage got into fisticuffs with guys in the back? You don't think Rick Rude beat people up?
There's many scruffs people don't know about. Like look at the Rougeaus and Kid Dynamite.
Yep.
What happened there? Like minor altercation and conversation about it. They didn't get in trouble. They stayed in the loop. Nothing really happened. They might have had a verbal apology. It wasn't much. So
I'm just saying, for years that stuff happened and it got worked out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
More
You
than
went out to the parking lot, you fought each other, and it was done.
Tell you,
everybody gets lawyers and talks to the dirt sheets and talks to.
I think Shawn Michaels was a bit of a crybaby. I think he told on Marty Jannetty a couple times.
He did.
Yeah, I think he went to the boss a few times.
I think the Clique, that was kind of their thing, you know. They tried to get people fired. They politicked to get their way and stuff.
Yeah, you had the Clique, and then you had Undertaker's crew, which I don't know their
name.
Bone
Skull Crew.
There it is. Yeah. And more of the more loyal, respectful people were kind of in the Bone and Skull than the Clique. The Clique was a little bit backstabby stuff.
I always think it's funny. They're like, oh, the Clique, you know, and BSK, you know, they were rivals. And both guys in both factions say, no. But the one I like the most is the Godfather was like, no, they never gave us any problems. What were they going to do? Kevin Nash was the only big one. And I'm sorry, you know, Godfather or whatever you want to call him, Papa Shango, Undertaker,
Yoko.
That's more than Kevin Nash can handle.
Yoko could take them all. I loved Yoke, bro. Yoke was the sickest. And the people don't know how close Taker and Yoko was. Like they had
I think all those guys were family, man. Like the BSK was a real thing. They all got the tattoo.
Some of the matches Taker and Yokozuna had were world championship level, like Hogan matches. Like Undertaker, that's why I got him in my top 5 because he's phenomenal in my opinion.
Did Bleeker just say Bruiser Brody?
Look at that figure. Oh my gosh, they don't make him like that, Pop.
I love it. Biggie Shaq was with me when I opened these.
Yeah, we haven't seen enough of them. Show them to Andre. It looks like a mini child baby. Look at this, Pop.
I love it.
Phenomenal. It looks like it could talk to you if you wanted it to.
I think it does sometimes. I heard it yell the other day.
He goes, boss. Still hunting for Yokozuna figure. Yeah, I would love to have one of those Hasbro Yokos. They made one, didn't they?
Man, that guy. Remember when I think it might have been one of the matches when the Camp Cornette guys were going against Shawn, and I watched him like they wrapped Shawn's ankle in the ropes and Yoke did the drop on the leg. Oh. I remember being a kid like, oh my God, like I can't believe he would do that to him. And you know, Michaels is selling his ass off.
he could do some crazy shit. He did a high kick, he did a leg drop, he did elbow drops.
And the bumps he would take looked crazy.
He would do over the ropes. You're talking 500.
Let those smaller guys do belly to belly suplexes on him.
Yeah, he did Samoa drop.
Fly through the air, fly.
Yeah, Yoko's stronger than what people think. But Pop, I told my girl I had a stream earlier, so I got about 5-10 minutes, then I got cut out. But I've had a blast.
Well, we can start wrapping it up. Pop, you good for this being our first one? Well, everybody, I promise we'll have more organized ones in the future. This was just more to talk wrestling and kind of just see if there's an audience for Wrestling Talk. If you want to be on Wrestling Talk or help us come up with a name for this, reach out to Pop and we'll get you on.
Absolutely.
Biggie Shaq, what do you got coming up?
I got Collector Club tomorrow night. Hialeah Comic Bro is returning, and Pop's invited, Becker's invited, everybody's invited always, and we'll be there doing superhero flying covers. So it's gonna be fun.
And what time does that start at, Biggie Shaq?
9 p.m. Comic Collector Geek, Steppo, Bleeker, probably D-Runk. Everybody will be popping up, I believe. So it's gonna be fun.
All right, everybody. You heard Pop. If you want to be on this show, talk to him or me or Beckerman. Yeah. One of us. Reach out to somebody and we'll get you on. We'll talk some wrestling. We'll have some topics coming up. If you have any ideas for a name, we're game to hear.
What the fuck? You cutting me out, Pop? I don't. They got to talk to me too.
And Biggie Shaq too.
Yeah, what is that?
Reach out to Biggie Shaq. Biggie will be back. Beckerman will be back. Papa Wheelie will return. Can we do top toys for WWE? That'd be awesome, especially if you've got them, because I don't have a lot of wrestling toys. I just started collecting.
I have a lot of
memorabilia. Yeah, man.
I have old
ones. We'd love to talk about it.
Old ones count? I could use some old ones.
We'd love to see what you got, Ferdbird. Yep. I know Pop's got plenty he can show off.
He's got all the pops.
All right, Pop, you want to
How many wrestling pops you got?
That'd be cool. All right, so there you go, Pop. See, we're already getting people interested. So thanks, everybody. Are we doing this next Thursday or 2 Thursdays from now? Every Thursday or every other? We'll be on Thursdays. Right. We don't know how often, but you can find us on Thursdays.
That's right.
Now we just wait for Pop to end it.
Let's roll up out of here. This has been Wrestling Talk, dude. If you like wrestling, come and talk about it, brother. This is where we're at.